I'm gonna have to ask you about that. Oh, let's go live. Let's go live.
What?
Let's go live.
I don't know what you're talking
Welcome to episode 34 of Office 365 Message Center, the week that was. I know, I'm slurring there, Dan. We've got a little bit about search in Outlook and the mobile app. There's some stuff happening with Yammer as well. We've also got some Azure AD bits and pieces going on. And Planner's doing something to make it a bit easier for us to keep up with the tasks. This is Office 365 Message Center, the week that was. Dan, hey, I'm always wanting to try and make some kind of transformer noise every time we've got that
You
regarding
do.
365.
You do that every time.
I know.
Whatever. I don't know what it is.
Just transform it into a podcast bot. That'll do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Podcast bot. Yes.
Yeah. Very good. How are you this now? I was going to say this morning, but that would be wrong.
No, it just turned into afternoon. I'm good. I'm doing well. The rain has ceased. We had floods. We had raining for several days, heavy rain, and so we've got flooding around here. But it's good. It's all good. We're safe and everything's going well.
Yeah, we've actually we've had a whole lot of rain here too in Auckland, New Zealand. It's a thing, isn't it? It
Yeah.
falls from the sky. Sometimes it falls all at once, and it can destroy
It
and be quite a powerful force.
it does fall from the sky. I will say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, Forrest Gump said sometimes it came in sideways and even up from underneath. So, obey those wise words and be reflective
Great.
about that.
I'm
Yeah,
so
very cool.
glad we are quoting Forrest Gump. That's
Yeah, why not?
fantastic. Let me
Hey,
put that on Twitter.
before we cut into these messages, I want to ask you what's with the reserved Daniel Glenn sign? Where's that from?
Um,
Is that like
so
a thing that was on your dinner table when there was like a speaker's dinner? Because that's freaking huge.
wow, wow, dude, that's uh-huh. Um, it's actually from a job I had. It was actually my first job out of school and out of
Oh,
university, out of college, and I won an auction for a reserve space in the parking garage or parking ramp or whatever you want to call it. And that was what was put on there. And I just remembered I had it down in the garage. And my my last day there at that job, I actually took it off the wall, took it with me.
nice. But
Yeah. So
that's a good memento. That's cool.
yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's cut on into our messages of the week. We actually before we do that, we'll say hello to Liz and to Max and to Phil. Thanks for joining us. So we'll get stuck into it. Yes, we are
Yep.
seeing those messages. Good. All right, so there is a fair whack of them, and again, we won't be going through all of them, but we will be passing comment, giving our opinions, and as always, this is all about trying to make you aware of change in Office 365. So you might have something that you want to say about this too, and feel free to engage with us using the Re365 hashtag on Twitter.
Yep.
All right, so what have we got? Now, I found, well, we were talking about this before we went live. This feels like a repetitive message because we're going to see something very similar a bit further along. Did you notice anything change with Outlook mobile app lately?
I did. I'm on iOS, and
Mm-hmm.
I saw the icons have changed in Outlook. Search is brought up. Has a key place there. It on the bottom. I
Mm-hmm.
think for me it was a little not confusing, but it was like, oh, this has changed. I need to figure out where do I click on to get to X.
Mm.
So it's a good thing to remember that yes, we have to keep up with change and what's going on, but that also means that's change management. And
Mm.
so people are going to be asking, where do I go to search? Well, it is on the bottom there, but just making sure that that everyone's aware. But yeah.
Mm. So what was changed up there or has been shifted? People may have gone to the contact button there to try and find the
Hmm.
contacts. So that has now been merged with the search function because the idea is you search for your contacts. You may want to be able to create contacts, and I think there's a way to do that in search. If I was really more
Yeah.
organized, I might have brought this up using AirPlay, and then we could look at it together. But maybe I'll save that for one of those other side deeper dives, right? Like
Yeah,
you did the
that's
other
right.
week. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'll do a recording, mental note, and we'll have a quick look at the app.
Okay.
So yeah, combined
I was
the
going to
searching.
volunteer, so I'll let you do it. Go
Yeah,
for it.
my turn.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so there's that. Search is also surfacing your files, so not just your contacts and messages, so it's all on one page, and then you can branch out to looking at those different search types from that same search page as well. So nice to see search front and center, because that's kind of what we do on the run. Actually, that's probably the last note I'll make about this. If you're checking email, but you're also wanting to check for email in terms of,
Yep.
hey, I remember that thing, and I'm in this meeting, and I need to grab this attachment or this something else. So search is
That's right.
front and center.
Search is huge. It is it's really the most frequent thing I do using the mobile app in Outlook. So it's good. I just wish there was a couple of things they would fix. And I feel like I have to mention this every time we talk about it, because so hopefully the right person will be watching this. But and you probably know what I'm going to say. The first is email signatures. Let's make the Outlook mobile app have proper email signatures.
Plain text is not good enough for you?
Plain text is not good enough for me. And then I noticed when you're scheduling a meeting, it's pretty slick. You can select that you want it to be a Skype meeting when you're scheduling a meeting. Let's also add Teams there, but that's not my gripe. The biggest thing I can't do is when I'm scheduling a meeting on my mobile app, I want it to show me free busy time for the people that I'm including within my organization. How do I know that they're free or busy? I don't. There's no way in the mobile app to figure that out. You have to go to your desktop, and that kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? So,
Right.
That's my 2 gripes for today. Thank you very much.
There isn't a schedule assistant, as you say, where you can't see little gaps within the schedule. But I have seen some kind of behavior where if you go to schedule something, it's got the people you've invited, and
Yep.
it will say whether it's free or busy. But it's very hit and miss. It feels like battleships. It's like, try this one. Nope. Try this one. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's complicated. No, it is not an easy experience.
Your relationship with Outlook mobile app is set to status complicated.
It's complicated. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to see a similar message. In fact, we could just about jump to that. Won't dive into this next one too much, but there was a researcher app for iOS which allowed you to go and do stuff to bring it into applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint. But now the researcher is folded into the mobile app for Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. There's no need for a separate app. We will see that trend follow as we work our way through the announcements. But what we just said about iOS and changes in search for Android, iOS as well. So
Ditto.
same thing. And look, I said to you, like, why don't they have the two combined? But I think they do sometimes roll it out for Android and then do it for iOS. And this is just we've improved search, and we do want to tell you about it a second time. And here it comes for your iOS users. If change management isn't complicated enough, hey, Android users, you're going to be getting it today and in a couple of days' time.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway. Right, so we do have something of interest that we're not going to dive into too much. Sure, feel free to read it. Feel free to go to the additional information. I am not going to stop you. I'm not going to block that link or redirect it to the Regarding 365 website. But yeah, there is a new way of organizing people and managing them within Azure AD. And they are going to be called administrative units. You might have heard about it in Ignite. And we are going to check in with Max Fritz next week, and he's going to give us a slightly deeper dive. We're going to do that 10-minute talk, and he might even do a little demo during that to show us all about it. So
whoa, yeah,
I know.
He, says his prayers and all that kind of stuff. He's doing demo.
Yeah, well, we'll have it under controlled road conditions. Yeah.
Okay.
Those car ads. This car is not driving across the road and crossing the center line on a public road. Anyway, So yeah, we will check in with Max about that. Just feel free to give us your feedback, give us your thoughts around how you might feel this is going to be quite useful for managing users in your environment.
Cool.
We have some planned maintenance for Yammer. Not too much to say about that, except this is one of the product groups that actually tells you about it.
Which they have no additional information link, by the way. Just want to let you know.
What's to say? It's going to be out for a couple of hours, and it might be during your business day.
I'm just pointing. Hey, we're here for the people. You know,
Yes.
we're here trying to help. So just let you know, there's no help on that one.
Okay.
Just suck it up.
All right, next one. New groups. Yep. Okay, so this is where I talked about a theme of app consolidation, feature consolidation. We talked about that with the iOS Researcher app. We've also heard about it coming, and here it is. We had an Outlook Groups app, and that pushed your notifications. You could interact with Outlook Groups. You could go into files. You could, basically get all those access to those 4 core services. There's really no need to have it as a separate app anymore. So they're folding that functionality into the Outlook mobile app. And this is just a notice to say that, actually this one's interesting. It says, we have detected that someone in your organization or people in your organization are using this app. So communicate and let them know that this is what's coming. I like these kind of notifications.
Yeah, because I don't have this. In my demo tenant, I do not have this. So that there's your evidence that I'm not using the Outlook Groups app. I have it, but I haven't logged in using my demo tenant. So
it's that smart. It knows you're accessing that tenant. I can see it. There's some header information that says this is the app that I'm using, and they're making good use of that. So nice to see. Outlook and Exchange are doing it well and leading the way, and it's good. So I'm looking to. Well, I know that there is some groups capabilities in the Outlook app. You can go in there and you can look at your groups, and you can go in and check, in a sense, the shared mailboxes behind each group. I think you can also get into calendars from there too for your shared groups. But let's see what else they're going to bring into that. Let's do a quick check-in too with our live chat.
Okay.
We did see Max and Phil and Liz as well.
Phil's talking about maintenance being down twice in 2 months. Wow.
For SharePoint?
For SharePoint.
Did you get any notice?
I didn't. Well, I didn't. No. Phil, did you get a notice on your read only for an hour and cannot say when? I didn't see anything like that. So I don't know if that's just his tenant or what, but wow.
Could be. We'll check in with them a bit later, but I suspect that it may have been something that was briefly mentioned and just his tenant. Max is jumping ahead. No, Max, you don't know how to play this game. You don't, okay? You don't read ahead and start talking about intelligent messages, okay?
No, come on, man.
No. Okay, back to it. I know I'm such a killjoy. Sorry. Well, let's move up to... Okay, so improved following feed in Yammer. I know it's your favorite topic. I'll take it from here. I got this. So the following feed in Yammer. Now, one of my early blog posts, actually this was back when we still had the Yammer-based tech community. And it was all about trying to draw the attention to how do you use your following feed in Yammer? How do you make use of that? And I'm the sort of person that I will subscribe to stuff. I won't necessarily follow people in Yammer or follow hashtags. But what I like to do was occasionally my water cooler was going to the all feed. And the all feed used to, that's what's changing, used to just pass all messages going past that might have been dropped into any public group. And so that allowed me to just, look, there's a conversation that I'm interested in. Let's do that. It was a bit like walking past a group of people talking in an open plan office. So that is changing. The following feed is no longer going to have all conversations.
Right.
Becomes a lot more focused, and more around discovery, more around suggesting. So hang on, we've got Yammer home feeds will not change. They're still structured as follows. Find groups. So discovery is find groups for you and your close colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
View all public conversations in your network. Follow conversations involving people, topics, etc.
Yep. That you care about.
That you care about. Yeah.
Right. I will say this is a great improvement. I think because so many people, I included, think the Yammer experience is overwhelming in that there's just a lot of information, and how are you supposed to catch up? So if you rely on email notifications, which I do a lot for Yammer, it's great because you could see new threads that have popped up, but then you don't see the whole conversation. You see the first of the thread, and then you see the last thing. So there could be 20 messages right in there, and so you have no context. You just know that message has happened. So I like the ability to, whatever we can do to make it more about me rather than the service. And for Yammer, it's been about the service. Yammer is awesome, and you should be in Yammer all the time. And that would be the only way you could keep up if your organization is using Yammer for communications often, is you had to be in there. Or you got inundated with these emails, and you're like, well, now, basically, I like the idea of, if I'm interested, I'll go back and look at it. But that's me having to wade through everything to figure out if I'm interested or not. So I do like the track we're going in improving the service for me rather than trying to change me for the service. So I do like this, and I think it's an improvement.
Yeah, I'm interested to see this, and I make a direct comparison to Teams. Both Yammer and Teams have an inbox of sorts. Yammer calls it an inbox. Teams calls it an activity feed. I see that as my personal place to go to catch up with messages. I know what you mean by that behavior of you've got the first message and then click here to see more in between. Click here to see more. Click here to see more. So there's a lot of similarities between how Yammer and Teams are doing that. Although Teams doesn't have that feed, so nice to see it's working. Like the key thing for me about the feed is that's the working out loud part. That's the what is actually going on. What are the conversations that I can see that are just passing me across the whole org that I wouldn't see from an email distribution list or sticking within a Microsoft team.
So do you, and let's take 30 seconds here. Do you ever see Teams and Yammer combining?
No. When I say no, I mean that it's not going to be the same product.
Right. No. I mean functionality. Like Teams is this working out loud, as you say, right, with your team and with your documents and with your channels and with your connections to other services and with your blah, blah, blah. Okay, et cetera, et cetera. That's all Teams. Yammer is working out loud across your organization. Don't put your documents in Yammer. That's just my opinion. And so you got that. So do you ever see this coming together in one product, whether it's Teams or Yammer or something else, where I can work out loud with any of those? Because if I'm saying I want company-wide, I got to go to Yammer. If I want my team, my group, my work group, I go to Teams. So do you ever see that coming together?
I think there's two areas that Teams would have to cover and be to be like Yammer in that sense. It would need to have a public feed. So not that I have to visit a team and read my messages or visit the activity feed and read just messages applying to me. I want to be able to bump into messages that don't even involve me yet. And that's something that's missing in Teams. Then there's the question of, would they ever consider embedding a conversation tab from a channel? That's the equivalent of embedding a Yammer group. And what I see is the trend that Yammer has been chosen as their conversation engine that will be embedded into SharePoint pages and team sites. And so it's not so much about you are using Yammer, but here's the conversation, and it can be shared across the organization. Those are two things that teams would have to do to become that one product if they merged somehow.
And that embedding, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, sorry, but I just keep coming back to this. I've got two applications that do the same thing, just different audiences. And I mean, same thing. That is a very broad, and I'm not trying to, anyway. But, if you start embedding channels, then you have to, that implies that I need to have the entire organization in that channel. And if your company's huge, then there's limits right now. So there's lots and lots of things that have to happen to make that happen. But I agree with you. If we're going to embed that, it needs to have that embedding to replicate that functionality, especially for people who have intranets that have that ability, that they're using that functionality, I guess I should say. So
yeah.
Okay.
Phil's saying that he feels that there'd be an eventual merger would be a long way off, and I know that there's various things that have to happen with the Yammer databases to make it to at least the same or similar format before that sort of exchange can happen. So yeah, good comment there, Phil. Right, yeah, we've got a lively bunch here tonight.
Sorry, and it's a lot of
Yeah. And I think that's worth a longer talk as well, and getting some opinions from the community, because it's often talked about. What's the effect of having overlapping technologies? Does it confuse people, or is choice a good thing? How different are they, and are those differences significant enough to say, do we need two products? And at the moment, that they are. It's just that some organizations just don't work that way, so they don't use Yammer.
And that's fine. Yeah.
Cool. Planner is making it easier for us to keep up to date with the tasks and due dates that we're setting. So we see it's often,
and this is a
iCal
convergence.
connection.
But this is just what you just said about Yammer and Teams. This is Planner connecting with something that has been historically our task management. I mean, if you think about 5 years ago, task management was Outlook. You could have tasks, and we've been talking about this for a while. I've got too many task things. Planner being one of those. And I've got so many things with tasks. I need them in a central place. I need a board that shows here are my tasks. So I like this. We're being able to bring in that Planner URL, the new iCalendar URL, and be able to consume that in Outlook. I think having a central, we got all these services and that's great, but I need a central place to work out of. And that's Teams apparently, but I still need a place I need to work out of. All this technology is great, but what are my tasks?
Yeah, so rather it's not so much, well, it is involving tasks, but it's more about the dates and calendar view of this. So that's one thing that hasn't changed, has it? We still use our Outlook calendar, whether it be that we're setting a Skype meeting, an online meeting, if we're starting to drag in a task and onto setting some blocked out time, and various different task applications, like I think Wunderlist at some point had an iCal as well. There are some things like that. TripIt, another one that I use for travel. So iCal's a standard, and we're still pointing it all back to, I want to manage everything, all the dates that I need to know about are in my calendar, not having to go off to this app and this app and this app and getting notifications all over the place. So and it's going to be useful for Planner. I still feel like it's while it is a good way to bring it into the calendar, it's still feels like it's a patchwork way of doing it. There is I'm sure there's a better way to make it a more integrated experience. But yeah, it's a good start. I mean, I think with iCals, isn't it usually that it's a one way, sync as well. It's saying what have you
Right.
put in iCal. You don't go into your planner iCal connection and create a new task that will
Right.
appear back on Planner. So it's one
Right.
direction.
Yep. I think so. Yes.
Yeah. So as always, there's some additional information. Do check it out. I'm going to be a bit lazy right now. I know. Finally, we are moving to TLS 1.2 for encryption. Do something
And
about
we
it
talked
before
about
the
this.
31st of October.
Yeah, we talked about this. It's
Yeah.
just that the deadline was March, so in a few weeks.
Right.
But they've pushed it out. That's the only thing, is they've pushed it out from March 1st to October 31st.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was due. I saw some conversation around this internally, and it was mostly around large organizations just saying they didn't have time to deal with this, and so they pushed it out.
Yeah, and thankfully too, that's in recognition that if there are any significant changes like this, that you need to communicate with the body of your audience or the end users that you've got. Southern Hemisphere tend to take their holidays around Christmas time, sort of December, so you have big groups of people that don't come back to work until late January. So thank you for extending this deadline.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, that is it in terms of announcements and the like. Let's dismiss all those messages because that's what we do. Did you?
That's what we do.
Yeah, well, they're there. If I need to see them, I'll go back to dismiss messages. But I like to see a nice, clean, what's new in the message center.
Right.
Have you noticed anything chatted about in the community or observed any kind of interesting weirdness, coolness stuff going on?
I think there have been some SharePoint ones that we have touched on before, but the moving files within SharePoint online and OneDrive and moving back and forth, that was had been talked about for a little while, but it's coming into tenants, and so that's a good thing. Trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to head up.
What do you think of the update to the OneDrive app?
I don't remember having any opinions on it. So I guess it's great.
Apart from look and feel, what I'm seeing more is a use of the file viewer. So it's a lot faster for me to see a file from OneDrive. And some of the things that I've been doing during this week, I've also been going from Teams to the files in a channel, and then when I open up that file, it jumps straight into Word. Something that I demonstrated a little ways back in a 360 tutorial was, how do I create a file from Teams? You can't. You can view it, you can open it. So that the link is using OneDrive. And OneDrive is truly becoming our Windows Explorer in the sky and the cloud. So if you want to create your files and you want to browse your files and have a bit more ability to do that within Teams, within the Yammer sites, within the team sites, within groups, it's OneDrive, exactly. Even SharePoint defaults to it. So you'll see your files, you'll see your document libraries in the SharePoint app. But when you want to do something with them, it either opens the application for the app or it opens up OneDrive.
And I think that needs to be a little better. And it may have improved actually with this update. I haven't had a use case yet, because before it would open up in OneDrive and then you had to open up in the app or something. So but I know that they're working on that or had worked on that. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah. No, it's what I'm observing so far is it will open up the related app. So if I open up a Word document, there it is.
Yeah.
You like that, Liz? Liz says Windows Explorer in the sky. Well, I'm just picking up on what Jeff said a couple of years back. You remember? And like it's not NDA anymore, but at Summit, that's kind of how they were channeling it and saying, we want to make it a really easy experience. And I think that's super important for user adoption. That from an app perspective, that's what they're doing. From a sync perspective, again, it's becoming that with files on demand. Much easier to help people adopt working in the cloud, and it's like they're they don't realize they're actually doing it.
Yep. And I
Yeah.
think that, they're working on that considerable amount, and as well as we talked about the onboarding process of OneDrive, and they've improved that walkthrough and released that. We talked about that, I guess, last week. That still, it's about people engaging and using it, and it not be this thing that they don't want to deal with or don't know about. Right. It's your storage, your files, and it's in the cloud, but it doesn't matter what your file is, you can open it. And when you're on your mobile, you don't have to worry about, do I have Adobe Reader? Do I have this or that as a download from the store? I just use it, right? So
yeah, and the real challenge here too is the goodies are available, and those who are on a form of Windows that is updated to the full Creators Update, cool. For those larger enterprises where it is a bigger deal and a bigger project to update desktops, they can't benefit from this yet. So it's something that they can just look on and go, well, we know it's coming. So, if you've got plans to, refresh your desktops, do see that the benefit of even just files on demand is a key feature of Windows 10. Is worth it in itself. If you're an organization that needs to go to the cloud, and you want to make it easier for people to adopt that thinking and that way of working with files, then plan to update Windows and don't delay it too much longer.
No, and it's, I think, well, in the support for the older Windows, I mean, yes, I think you need to update. Windows 10 is not what Windows 8 was as far as adoption, and people were nervous about. So I think you're right. To get on board, organizations need to be going that way. So.
Well, hey, that brings us to the end of the show. Like I said, we are going to be checking in with Max Fritz next week, and he's going to.
I get to see him this week, actually.
You do?
I get to see Max and hopefully Liz, and several other people. I'm going to be in Minneapolis, speaking to the SharePoint user group on Wednesday, and then I'm speaking to the Office 365 user group on Thursday. So I'll be there live and in person, so you can come with your tough questions and we'll work it out. So we're talking Microsoft Flow and Power BI.
Oh, okay. And I hear you might get an early preview of some cookies from Liz.
I'm kind of hoping. There's some cookie talk, and I'm hoping there'll be cookies because I do like cookies. Yeah,
that's cool. Just to finish off too, thanks again for continuing to support us. The channel continues to grow. We're edging so much closer to having a couple of shows online. Alistair Pugin's getting his studio online in South Africa. I know that Lorian and Damien are still working on the Teams talk videos, so we're looking forward to them coming through. Tracy's busy with her continued Microsoft 365 and 365 days, and she's doing some occasional video demos as well, and she's done a great job there. It's something that we all as a team and as a group, we push ourselves to try and learn a bit more from each other, and she's really gunning it with that. So follow us on Facebook. You can see this is where we're doing our videos on YouTube. We're on Twitter regarding 365. Use the hashtag RE365 if you want to engage us in conversation. It's getting some uptake, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks, Dan.
See ya.
Bye for now.